What's up everyone, your boy Kumar here and welcome back to a brand new video on Boeing Boy. Today we'll be talking about 5 things which no one will ever tell you about becoming a pilot. These might be good, these might be bad, we'll figure out. This is the first video in the series of Are you wanting to become an airline pilot? Let's get started. So not beating around the bush, getting straight to the point, the first thing that you need to know when becoming a pilot is related to your training. So when you're training to become a pilot, the cost of your training will continuously go up. Now I'm not talking about you starting 2 years from now and the training being more costly. What I'm talking about is when you start your training, you will be given a certain cost. But eventually as you progress, there is a very good chance that you will end up spending more than what you initially thought. Now the reason for this could be multiple, such as an increase in the fuel prices, or as it has happened of late, an increase in the prices of the insurance of the aircrafts. Now because of all of these increasing costs, the flying school, despite giving you a fixed cost initially, will increase your training cost. Now this may or this may not happen, but there is a very good chance that this might be the case. Now obviously, who will pay for these costs? The students. The flying schools will not bear the cost for increasing cost of fuel or increasing insurance costs or whatever other reason. The student, which is you, will have to bear this cost. Another very important point to consider is that in India, your salaries are much less as compared to other countries. For example, you compare to pretty much every other country, the Middle East, China, USA, Europe, everywhere else pilots are paid more than they are in India. Now a valid reason for that could be that the cost of living in India is much less. However, we still do the same amount of work. You could go tomorrow to Middle East and earn 4, 5, 6 times the salary that you earned here in India for the same amount of work. Another thing is, over the years, especially over the last about 10 to 15 years, salaries have not really increased along with the inflation. For example, the salary that I used to get as a captain in Jet Airways was actually more than what I'm getting now, 8 years later, still as a captain. And over the last 8 years, we all know how inflation has increased and how the cost of living has gone up. Another long-term point to consider is that once you've become a captain, there is not much growth in your career. Compared to other professions wherein you can still grow and get to higher positions, in aviation, captain is like, you're at the top of the food chain. There is not much beyond it unless you decide to become a trainer. The only change that will come in your life as a pilot would be probably moving to a different airline or moving on to a different aircraft. Otherwise, a captain is just a captain. You become a captain by about 30, 35 latest, and after that, the next 30, 35 years of your career, you will be a captain. Another thing to keep in mind when you're becoming a pilot is that your career, including your training and your airline pilot career, will not be a straight sloping up line. It will have its own ups and downs. Things sometimes will be great. For example, in your training, you might be doing a lot of hours in your flying school and you might be thinking, I'll get my CPL very soon. But then some or the other thing might happen and the flying might slow down. Or as an airline pilot, you might think, great, my career is going nice, I'm getting a lot of hours, I'm earning a lot of money. But then you might have, I hope not, but you might have an accident and you might break your hand. And now you can't fly for the next 6 months. So things are very variable in aviation. COVID taught us all that nothing is guaranteed and nothing stays as it is. Things will change, sometimes for the better, but also sometimes for the worse. So do not expect your career to go in a nice straight line wherein everything is hunky-dory. Things will go down over a period of time. And you might be thinking, he's talking all negative stuff, but there is a lot of positives as well. However, what I am telling you here are some of the lesser known facts, and unfortunately they mostly turn out to be negative. However, the fifth one, and probably the most important when you're considering to become a pilot, is that you will not do anything else in your life. Once you've started flying an airplane, once you've become a pilot, you will not go back to doing anything else. This is the case for majority of the people. Even if, I again hope not, but let's say you become medically unfit, you will not leave your core profession, which is flying. You will end up doing something within the same profession. As a pilot, I cannot see myself doing literally anything else, switching my profession and moving on to something else. And I believe this is true for the majority of pilots. There will be exceptions, I'm sure. However, majority of us who become pilots can't literally do anything else in our lives except flying airplanes or doing something related to aviation. Compared to other fields, it's such a passionate and a passion driven field that people don't usually come here because they were forced by their parents. People come here out of pure passion, and that passion is what keeps people in aviation. Once you enter aviation, हो गए तुम एविएशन के. So I hope you guys gain some insight with the video. I hope you learned something that normally people don't usually talk about. In the next video we'll be covering something super interesting, and that is gonna help you become a pilot, make your life a lot easier. So subscribe if you haven't, like, share, comment, and thank you so much for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one.